Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do something that I find very exciting. We're going to talk about money. If you guys aren't new here, you guys know that I love to sit down, talk about finances, talk about money. Since we got back from Disney, and I've been getting a bunch of questions about like how we save for vacations and how much our Disney trip costs and all of that. We're gonna talk about that today. I thought it might be helpful to just share like some of the things that Joe and I do in terms of like saving for vacations. I'm gonna talk about how we use credit cards to earn points throughout the year to help us pay for our vacations. So I'm gonna get into detail on that. And then at the very end of this video, I am gonna give you a breakdown of how much we spent on Disney. Like for our Disney trip, I had already told you guys how much we spent for our hotel and tickets, but I did a further breakdown on like how much we spent on souvenirs, snacks, food, drinks, all of that. And I'm gonna tell you I was shocked, okay? I did the little Excel spreadsheet on our way back home from Miami, like today in the car, and it was a lot more than I thought it would be. So I thought you guys would enjoy that. We'll also talk about tips on like how to save when you're actually on your vacation. So we're gonna get into all of that, but I do wanna thank NerdWallet for sponsoring today's video and for giving me another reason to talk to you guys about money. So in a little bit, I am gonna like walk you guys through their website and show you some of like the features that I think might help you if you're looking for a good travel reward credit card. They have a great comparison tool that I think would be great for you guys to look into if you're looking for a good credit card to earn points on, and we're gonna talk about all of that now. Let's go ahead and get started. So in terms of saving for a vacation and planning a trip and figuring out how you're gonna budget in order to be able to afford this vacation, I think the very first thing that you have to know is at least an estimate of what it's gonna cost you. I think that's very basic. You know, like saving for a little weekend trip is gonna be much different than saving and budgeting for a week-long trip to Hawaii. I think that you guys can understand that. So like when I was thinking about going to Disney, I was going on to like the Disney website like months before we actually booked our trip, looking at like what the hotels were costing, getting an idea of like what the average cost looked like per night, all of that. Now that didn't give me like an exact figure, but I had an idea, and I will tell you that after taking this trip, I know that it is a lot more expensive than what I thought. Or the other thing that you can do is like actually book far enough in advance that you have several months to kind of work your way up to that in terms of your savings. Like I don't know about everywhere, but I know that with Disney in particular, like when I booked online, the day that I actually booked and reserved my hotel and my tickets, I was able to see the total price that cost me. So it was like $2,700, and on that day I only had to put a $200 down payment. So I paid the $200, so then I had $2,500 that I think I owed maybe 30 days before the trip. So I was able to say, okay, how many months do I have until I owe that payment? Break those down into like monthly savings goals, and then that way when the payment was due, it's not like we didn't have the money to pay it. But point is, you gotta know what you're working towards, right? You gotta know what your savings goal is, more or less what that vacation is gonna cost you. And I find that that's really helpful for a lot of reasons, obviously, so that when the vacation comes, you actually have the money to pay it. But I think it's really helpful to have that figure in mind and have it like front and center. So like if you're planning a big trip to Hawaii, and I'm just gonna use Hawaii because that's like a big extravagant vacation. So let's just say, just for the ease of this video, that going to Hawaii costs $10,000. It probably costs a lot more, but whatever. Then once I've decided that I wanna take that trip, I'm gonna, I don't know, figure out what works for you. I'm gonna get a giant envelope, or I'm gonna create a big spreadsheet, and I'm gonna put that thing like right on my refrigerator. I'm gonna put it right in like my command center in the house, somewhere that I'm gonna see that all the time, and I'm gonna be reminded like I'm trying to save $10,000 to go to Hawaii. Because I feel like when we talk about savings can be kind of like, oh man, like you can't do stuff, like you can't go get coffee, you can't spend a fortune on new clothes, you can't do all this stuff because you're trying to save money. And when you have that mentality, it kind of makes the saving process like not very fun at all. It's like this reason why you can't do all of these things. But when you put in front of you, in your face, the thing that you are trying to save up money for, and it's something that's exciting, like any kind of trip, it's kind of like this little switch in your brain that makes saving a little bit more fun. Because now instead of saying, oh man, like I can't go get my iced chai latte, it's not so much that I can't get that chai, it's I can have $7 more to go to Hawaii. So that's the way that I like to look at saving for vacation. I think that it can be a fun thing. It can be something that your family really just dives into. So I would challenge you guys that like if traveling is something that you want to do, because remember, like traveling isn't something that everybody enjoys or everybody wants to do, but if that is a priority of yours to take your family on a trip, whether it's a 2-day trip or a 7-day trip, whatever it is, Figure out what that's gonna cost you and then make that front and center in your home. Figure out when you're planning on taking this trip. Figure out how many months you have until that happens, and try to tackle it at the monthly level. Try to say, okay, if my trip is gonna cost me $1,000 and I have 2 months to get there, then that means that I've got to save $500 a month in order to take that trip. The other thing that you can do is, like, if you have no idea where you wanna go, you just know that you wanna go somewhere, you wanna prioritize that, I don't know, once a year you go somewhere, maybe you factor that into your budget. And like in your budget, just like you would budget in money for your phone bill, or you would budget in money for groceries. Remember, I did my whole financial series. If you guys want to know how exactly we budget, I'll leave those videos down below. But in your budget, include a little line item for travel. Joe and I do this every month. We include in our envelopes, in our virtual envelopes, X amount of dollars for travel. It varies every month depending on how much money we brought in. But if that is a priority of yours, that's something that you should add into your budget. Maybe every month you add $50 in that fund. At the end of the year, you'll have 600 bucks. At least maybe you can do a 2-night stay somewhere, do something fun and exciting like that. If you have more money in your budget, you know, you can put that in the travel fund. You know, maybe for your birthdays, if people ask you what you want for your birthday, say, you know what, I just want a gift card so I can use it towards my travel fund. I know a lot of people that like they count on whatever they're gonna get back from their taxes every year, and they use that for some kind of vacation. But at the end of the day, it's really just about you making sure that you and your family, everybody else that makes the financial decisions with you, that they know that that's a priority, and that every month you're trying to put some money away there for travel. I think it makes a world of a difference. And like I said before, when you do that, when you put that in the front and center of your mind, of your home, of your priorities, it then becomes that you're saying no to other things in your daily life. In the weekend, you're saying no to going to Chick-fil-A to get a milkshake, and instead you're saying yes to having more money to spend on your trip in Hawaii. You know, $7 on that milkshake that you maybe don't really need, versus, you know, $7, picture yourself having half a drink in Hawaii, because a drink in Hawaii is not gonna be $7. But you get the idea. Like, try to picture what that money is gonna do for your vacation. And I think you'll find that you're able to save up money a little quicker, because it's like a fun and exciting thing that you're saving for. So now I'm gonna talk about the other thing that Joe and I do year round that saves us a ton of money in terms of traveling. So if you're a regular here on my channel, you guys know that we have spent the entire last year traveling back and forth to Miami for different reasons, to see my family. We just did our Orlando trip, we went to Disney, then from there we went to Miami. We have been back and forth from Virginia to Miami, and you know, both ways, all ways. We've done it a lot this year. And something that has helped us a ton in terms of paying off some of those hotel stays and those charges that are related to travel is the fact that we use a credit card for all of our purchases. So Joe and I buy everything using our credit card. We do not use a debit card. We do not use cash. Like, very rarely will we use cash. Like, sometimes if you have 20 bucks in your pocket, you'll use that. But we make it a point to use our credit card to pay for everything. Our gas, when we do groceries, when we buy stuff online, when we go to Starbucks, when we go to Chick-fil-A, when we go to all the places and do all the things, we pay that with our credit card. I've been very vocal here about how much I love using a credit card because of the fact that we earn points. So that shouldn't come like as a huge surprise to you, but we're gonna talk a little bit about like how that actually happens. But remember, when I say that we pay everything with a credit card, it's not that we pay it on a credit card and we go months and months and eventually pay it off. We pay everything with our credit card, and we treat it basically like cash, because at the end of every month, we pay off our credit card balance in full. So I do want to make sure that you guys understand that. So why do we do that? Why go through that process if we have the cash sitting in the bank? Like, why use the credit card? When you have the right credit card, when you have a great travel rewards card, you can be essentially just buying things that you would normally, right? You're gonna buy your groceries every month. You're gonna go to the store for whatever. You're gonna buy your kids some new clothes. Whatever you would normally be doing, you're doing it, and then you're getting points, as opposed to you going to the store and you doing your groceries paying cash and you get no points. So this is one of the ways that NerdWallet can really help you. So I'm gonna walk you guys through their website really quick. I'm gonna take on my laptop here, do a little screen share. So first of all, if you've never heard of NerdWallet, I highly recommend that you open up your computer. They also have an app too that you can download, but go check them out. They have a ton of great financial resources. They have a bunch of money calculators. They have a bunch of articles that are very helpful. Anything from credit cards to like different things having to do with mortgages if you're going to be looking to purchase a new home soon. There's a bunch of really great information here, but today what I want to show you is their travel rewards comparison tool. So once you have NerdWallet open, you can click over here where it says credit cards, And then you can take a look at different credit cards based off of like what your needs are, okay? Because credit cards are different. Some credit cards are going to be really great if you are traveling a lot. If that's like what your lifestyle is, then maybe you're going to lean towards more of a travel credit card. Maybe you want more cash back. Maybe you're looking for something with a lower interest rate. Like, all credit cards are different, and that's why it's important to compare them. So that way you can see what's going to fit your lifestyle and what's going to be the best for your family, because your family is unique. The kinds of financial decisions that you make and your just financial situation is going to be different. So that's why it's important that you don't just get the credit card that your neighbor has, you get the credit card that's gonna meet your situation. So anyway, for the purposes of today's video, I'm gonna click over here on travel, and this is gonna pull up the credit cards that NerdWallet deems right now at the moment to be some of the best ones on the market. So this page right here says 14 best travel credit cards of April 2021. So they go updating these regularly. They're gonna show you what offers are the best in that current moment. So I think it's a great resource to look at. So anyway, down here, NerdWallet has gone ahead and they've put together their list of the top 14 credit cards. And you can see that they're telling you why they picked this. So this first one says flexibility, point transfers. There's a big sign-up bonus. Sometimes when you open up a credit card, there's like a big sign-up bonus. You get a certain amount of points that you can then redeem for miles or to use towards some of those travel purchases. Usually like after you spend a certain amount of money on the credit card, but remember, if you're using that to just live your life and do the stuff that you normally do, that money you normally spend anyway. So I think that this is a great place to go to if you're on the market for a new credit card. It's funny because the credit card that Joe and I use, we have had it for years, like 5, 6, 7 years, and it's not one of the ones that is here on NerdWallet. But before NerdWallet even approached me about working on this video, Joe had told me that he wanted to look at getting a new credit card. He's like, the one that we have, I think that we could be getting more points through another one. So he had actually gone on his own and gone to NerdWallet and he looked up credit cards. So it may be something that we look at, maybe switching up our card and seeing if maybe we can get a good like sign-on bonus, you know, if we switch cards. So that's another reason like why a tool like this is great and a resource like NerdWallet is great. They're giving you up-to-date info. This stuff is always changing, and I think that it helps you as a consumer just kind of have a better idea of what your options are. Something that I do want to mention quickly though that NerdWallet does recommend is like if you are going to be looking to apply and to open up a travel credit card, try to do it 6 months before you actually take your vacation, because that way you have 6 months to build up points that you can then use on your vacation. Because if you open up a credit card today and you go on your vacation in a month, you only have like a month of spending to build up points, versus if you use your credit card an entire year and you're building up points, at the end of a year you're gonna have a much bigger point balance than if you just, you know, waited just a month. So just keep that in mind. It's something that you're gonna wanna do much sooner rather than later. That way you have more time to build up that balance that you can then apply towards your vacation. That's all I'm gonna say about NerdWallet for now. Go there, go to nerdwallet.com, compare and find the smartest travel rewards credit cards for you, for your family, for your situation. I promise you it won't be something that you regret. You know, I know that sometimes all of this like financial stuff can be very confusing. You don't know where to start, but watching videos like this and going on websites like that, that is a good place to start. And kind of hearing other people's testimonials and hearing what other people do, I think that's helpful. You know, read through some of those articles that NerdWallet has, use their tools, and I think that that'll give you like a better standing so you can make smarter financial decisions. So now the practical part, okay? Because I talked your ear off about how you pick the best credit card and how to compare them and all of that. Why should you do that? Why is that even helpful in any way? So I'll give you my example, and remember that all credit cards are different. So I don't want to like speak about my credit card and then you go to your credit card and you're like, oh, I can't apply the same points, because again, every credit card is different. With my credit card, the one that we use, again, a very good travel credit card. Every month, Joe and I are spending money. And at the end of the month, we have a certain point balance. So right now we're right under like 9,000 points because I've been cashing them out. So I never have much of a balance because every month when I pay my bills, I kind of cash out my points and I apply them towards travel like purchases. So just to give you an idea, in my credit card land, 10,000 points equals $100. So if you build up 10,000 points, you then have $100 that you can use towards past travel purchases. With my credit card, they let you apply your points towards purchases that have happened in the last 120 days. So if I have 100,000 points, I think the math will be right if I do this, but if I have 100,000 points in my account, then essentially I have $1,000 that I can put towards past vacation purchases. So when I go to use my points, I get like a little screen that shows me like what would they call it? Like what my available redemptions are. Like if I bought myself Abercrombie jeans yesterday, I can't use my points for Abercrombie jeans. I can only use my points for travel related expenses. So some of those will include things like a Marriott hotel stay. So whenever Joe and I travel to Miami, whenever we do that drive, normally we stop at a hotel halfway to sleep. And sometimes the hotel is like the one that we just stayed at yesterday was $169. So I can have a charge like that for $169. And if I have, what is that, like 16,000 points in my account, then I can go ahead and pay off that entire stay at the hotel. It shows up like a credit in my credit card balance. Like, you know, it's not like they give me the cash. It's less money that I have to pay on the credit card. But essentially, I'm getting that stay for free. And believe me that I have done that so many times in the past years that we've had that credit card. So that has saved me a ton of money because that's essentially stays that I have gotten for free. We're gonna get into like my Disney stay and all the purchases that hit and all of that in a second. But just to give you an idea, I have right now in my credit card statement thing, I have a it's like $1,055, I think. That is one of those eligible redemption things. So if I build up enough points in the next 120 days, and let's say that I was only able to accumulate maybe 50,000 points. 50,000 points in the next 4 months, that's still $500 that I can redeem towards that past purchase. And instead of that $1,055 charge from Walt Disney World hitting my account, I now get $500 as a credit back. So instead of spending $1,055, I really only spent like 500 something. I hope you're still with me. Point is, it saves me money on vacations, on travel. I have gotten a bunch of free hotel stays just from doing my normal groceries and stuff like that. So I really can't stress any more than that the importance of, at least in my opinion, right? In my opinion, the importance of using a good travel credit card. Remember, you're using that credit card like cash. You're not using that credit card and then rolling over that balance to the next month and all of that, because then you're gonna incur interest, and that's not gonna save you money. That's not what I recommend. I recommend that you're only spending money that you have, but whatever, that's a different video, and I've already done that video in my other videos. But use a credit card responsibly, use it like cash, pay it off at the end of the month, get points on things that you purchase anyway. I think that's a smart way to help you when it comes to trying to include some vacations, some travel within your yearly goals and all of that. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. So now my computer is out of battery, so I'm gonna move over to my desk. I'm gonna take out my charger. We're gonna open up our Disney spreadsheet. I'm gonna tell you exactly how much we spent, and you guys are gonna wanna vomit a little bit because it was a lot of money. Okay, so now I'm going to open up my spreadsheet. I've got my computer here. I will do like a little screen recording so you guys will get to see my spreadsheet in a second. But this is how much we spent at Disney, you guys. I think before I show you numbers, I think it, you know, warrants a little disclaimer here. A couple things. So number one, please be nice. I'm sharing this just to help you guys. I'm sharing this because I think that even me, like having gone to Disney like a million times before, it was still shocking when I broke this down and did this Excel spreadsheet, like to see how much other stuff we ended up spending other than just our hotel and our tickets. So food adds up, snacks add up, souvenirs add up, drinks add up. Like, it's a lot of money. So don't be a troll in the comments. Some people aren't gonna spend this much money when they go to Disney. Some people will spend more, but this is just what ended up happening on this trip. That being said, and I'm gonna talk about it like as we go through this, there are ways to do Disney way more affordable than this. So Joe and I and the kids, like, we had a great time on this vacation. We were there with my family. There were plenty of times that, you know, we bought drinks for the family and we kind of were like, hey, drinks are on us. We did do some more elaborate experiences that, like, I knew that we had the money to do, and so we decided to splurge on that. So which spreadsheet do I want to show you guys first? I have two different tabs. All right, so I think I'm going to show you guys this one first. So here, what I want to point out are just a few different things. So here on this first line, this is how much money our hotel and tickets cost. So Joe and I, we stayed with the kids at Art of Animation. We stayed for 5 nights. So this is a 5-night stay plus tickets for Joe, myself, and Riley for 4 days at the park. So tickets for 3 of us, Jackson was free. We did the 4 parks and we stayed at the hotel 5 nights. Art of Animation, that's one of the more value resorts at Disney. So we paid $27.30.81 for that. So that's the amount of money that we were charged before our stay. So the day that I booked, I paid $200 and then I had $2,500, you know, $25.30.81 that I had to still pay, I believe 30 days before the trip. So at first when I shared that with you guys, you're like, oh, that's not too bad for, you know, the hotel and tickets. And I was like, all right, well, that's how much that was. I'm sure I'm still gonna have to save up a little bit of extra money because we're gonna end up buying food, and I've heard that food is expensive there and all of that. So I knew that $27.30.81 wasn't gonna be the only money that we were gonna spend for our Disney trip, but I didn't realize like how much more we were gonna spend. So just to give you an idea, I'm gonna show you right now how much we spent at Disney, okay? $27.30.81 was hotel and tickets. In total, we spent $5,562.69 at Disney. So that was an extra, I'll do the math here really quick. From what I paid that first initial day to what we spent in total, that was an extra $2,831.88. That was other things. That was souvenirs, that was food, that was drinks, that was parking, all of the things that I'm gonna show you guys right now. So even though I was like $27.30.81, not too bad, we ended up spending even more than that in all of the extras. Now remember my disclaimers, a lot of things we didn't have to buy, a lot of things that we splurged on, but things that you can at least consider and things that you should keep in mind if you're planning a trip to Disney or a trip to really anywhere, things that you're gonna have to factor into your travel costs. So up here, just to give you an idea where that money came from, right? So let's start up here. So things that I had to add to this was of course like getting to Disney. So we drove to Disney, but if you were flying, you would wanna factor in your tickets, you would wanna factor in your checked bags if there's a fee for that. So since we traveled from Virginia to Orlando and then from Orlando to Miami, like I didn't have, you know, the exact amount that we spent going back and forth from Orlando to Virginia, but I just took what we spent in gas from Virginia to Orlando and I just multiplied that by 2, and that is what I came up with. And same for this next line item, which is, remember we went from Virginia to Orlando, but we stopped overnight halfway, so we spent money for a hotel for that stop, and we would have done the same thing going back. So about $339 for just a hotel stay on our way to Disney. So those were all travel costs that I had to factor in there, so that cost us money. And then on this spreadsheet, I have this broken down by like everything we spent every day. So maybe this will give you a good idea of like what we spent every day. And then in the other spreadsheet that I'll go back to, it has it broken down by category. But on Wednesday when we got to the hotel, we got there about midday. We ended up spending about $117 that day. And then when we went to Hollywood Studios, we spent $724.65. Hollywood Studios was expensive because we did the droids build. So if you guys watch the Disney vlogs, you guys know that we made droids with the kids. Joe really wanted to do it. That experience for 2 droids, because we could have just done 1, but Joe wanted to do 1 for Riley and for Jackson. For the both of them, it ended up being $351.39. You could have done it cheaper because there was a package that was $99 for a droid. That was just like the droid, but for I think $164, you got the droid plus some freaking personality chip. Thank you, Joseph Buell. That was something he wanted to do. Plus the backpack, I think it was like more expensive. So we went with the more expensive package. Again, we splurged on that. So that was like the most expensive thing that day. So then the next day, Friday, we went to Magic Kingdom and we ended up spending $470.65 that day. Again, we had a very big purchase or an experience that day because we went to be our guest for lunch. And in my defense, I did not know that right now it seems that be our guest when you book a reservation at Belle's Castle, which was always on my bucket list. I'm glad we did it, but I didn't know getting into it what I was getting into. So apparently right now, I don't know if it's because of, you know, the COVID situation or whatever, but right now it's a prefixed meal. And I thought it was like a quick service. So we walk in to be our guest and they're like, do you know that this is a fixed meal? And I'm like, no, but I really wanted to go. So we get to the table and I'm looking at the menu, and for adults, I think it was $62 per adult for this like 3 or 4 course meal, whatever. And then for kids, I think we paid $37 for kids, plus Joe and I ended up getting drinks, which drinks in Disney, when we look at the food page, you guys will see like the different costs of things. But yeah, after tip and all of that, our lunch in Be Our Guest was $256.07 for Joe, myself, Riley, and Jackson. So yeah, that was a big hit. So that's one of the reasons why we spent so much that day. When we went to Epcot, we ended up spending $324.86 that day. One of the big purchases that we had there is Joe and I had our dates in Mexico. So we had lunch in Mexico and we went to one of the nice restaurants there. We just ate like kings and queens. Like we had an appetizer, we had I think 3 drinks, and one of the drinks that Joe got was $25. So like, again, you don't have to spend this much money when you go. Drinks are expensive. I think drinks are usually anywhere between $13 and $17. Like if you're gonna have an alcoholic beverage with your meal, that's kind of what you can expect to pay for like a margarita or something like that. So we had that, we had like 2 desserts, we had entrees. I think my lunch entree was maybe 28, I want to say, something like that, like high 20s, not like a $13 meal. So it was an expensive lunch, but it was our first date very long time, so it was well worth it. But that was like a big chunk of what we spent that day. And then the next day we went to Animal Kingdom. In Animal Kingdom we spent $396.18. And that wasn't just Animal Kingdom, that was Animal Kingdom and also the rest of the day we spent at the hotel. So we did end up like that night, we went to the pool bar, we got drinks and all of that. We also bought the kids some souvenirs. So that was kind of what we spent that last day. Before I show you guys a breakdown of the categories though, I do want to come back here and I want to show you 2 things that I didn't know I was going to be charged for that might be helpful if you guys are staying on Disney property, or something that you can at least look into, maybe ask when you're booking. So first of all, when we left the hotel, when we were done with our vacation, I thought that I was done getting a bill from Disney. I wasn't expecting to see like a transaction from Walt Disney World, but we did. So I ended up looking at my credit card and I was like, what is this $1,055 here from Walt Disney World? And so I messaged them, and sure enough, they're like, well, this is all the stuff that you were like charging to your room when you were using your Magic Band. Like whenever we would pay for something, Joe would pay with his Magic Band, and all of that ended up being like lumped into this one big charge, in addition to these things that I'm going to talk about. So there's a hotel parking fee. So every day that we were staying at the hotel, we got hit with a $14.09 parking fee just for parking our car in the hotel. And then also a 91-cent resort tax. Big whoop, 91 cents, whatever, but I didn't know that that was something that I was going to be charged. So another like $15 there every day just for being at the hotel. And like, I don't understand, why don't they just include that in your room charge? Like, why do this extra thing? If anybody knows, let me know, because it just drives me insane. So I saw that on my statement every night. And then they had also put in that statement just other things, when we were eating at the pool bar, when we were buying souvenirs at the hotel. So I highly recommend that if you're on vacation or you're like at Disney, whatever the case is, if you want to make sure that you stay on budget, I highly recommend you take out a notes tab, or you take out a little piece of paper that you put in your pocket everywhere you go, and you go writing like what you're spending, everything that you swipe your card for or put on your Magic Band, because it adds up. Okay, it adds up. I was shocked. I was shocked when I got that itemized statement from Walt Disney World that said I still owed another $1,055. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had already seen like other transactions from other little restaurants and stuff. I was like, what is this? Like, did we really buy that much stuff? And sure enough, we did. So again, like for us, it wasn't a huge deal because we had the money in the bank. Like, you know, we had saved, we have a big travel fund. So it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't the kind of thing that was gonna make or break us. It's not like we had to then put this on a credit card and spend the next 7 years paying it off. But if you're on a much tighter budget, you wanna go like tracking these things and making sure that you are staying on budget, because it gets really easy to swipe the card, swipe the Magic Band, and you have no idea after 5 or 7 days like how much money you've actually spent. So if that can be a learning lesson to anyone, I hope that helped, because I assure you, if I was going and keeping track of like how much money we had spent every day, which would have been a good idea, I wouldn't have been so surprised, and I definitely would have tried my best to maybe not have as many pretzels, or I don't know, not had as many drinks, because things got very expensive very quickly. So let's go to this categories page. Maybe it gives you a better idea of like what we ended up spending. So I broke it down into drinks being like anything that was like the pool bar, or like when we were in Hollywood Studios, we did the milk, the blue milk. That was like an alcoholic beverage where we like bought a round of drinks for everybody. There was one time in Magic Kingdom that it wasn't like our lunch, but we went to Starbucks and we just got coffee for everybody. So in total for the trip, we ended up spending like $317 on drinks. Like Pongu Pongu is one of the places in Animal Kingdom that does really good margaritas. Again, drinks, my recollection of drinks in the parks in Disney was like you're gonna spend anywhere from like $13 to $17. More specialty drinks, like when Joe had that margarita in Mexico, it was $25, but it was the most like expensive one, or maybe not the most expensive one, but it was like the featured drink, the one that comes with the fancy cup, the souvenir cup, the glow-in-the-dark ice cube, whatever that he wanted to buy. So that was like a more expensive thing. More regular was like $13. I think at the pool bar at the hotel, the one that we kept getting was maybe $15, sometimes $17, other ones that Joe was getting. So around there for drinks, still pretty pricey if you're buying a lot of them. So keep that in mind. If, I don't know, if you're looking to get intoxicated, maybe you buy your own liquor and take it to your room so that you don't have to spend that much money at the bar. At Disney, what you're paying for is you're paying for convenience, okay? You're paying these like skyrocketed food prices and all of that because it's easy, because it's there, because it saves you from taking a trip to Publix to get food and bring it to your room. Like, you can do all those other things to save money. You can order Uber Eats and you can have it delivered. I think if you deliver it to the lobby, you can go and get it and it doesn't cost you anything extra. I know a lot of people that when they get to Disney, they go to their room and then they go to the Publix, they do some groceries, they stick whatever they can in the little mini fridge, you know, figure out what your, you know, refrigerator situation is before you do that, because then you might not have space. But there are plenty of people that do that, pack their own sandwiches, pack their own snacks for the kids, and maybe you can go to the parks and never once go into a place to spend any money on food. But if you're going to Disney and you want to try the new snacks and you want to try the new foods, this is kind of what you can expect to pay. Or if you just want to go and not have to worry about that, you're going to pay for the convenience. So just to give you an idea, in total for food and snacks is different. So snacks being like if we've got a popcorn at the popcorn cart or ice cream, I did that separate. This was more like our lunches, our dinners, our like if we went to the parks and we had breakfast there, this is what I included as like food. So in total we spent $819.66 on food. And when I say food too, I also wanted to just give you an idea of what some of the stuff costs. I don't have it on the spreadsheet, but I did kind of keep track of it here on this other note that I have. So for a kid's meal, you're probably gonna pay about like $9.99. That's kind of what we paid for kids meals. The kids meals, first of all, like anybody can buy a kids meal. Like you don't have to prove that you're a kid. You don't have to prove that the kid is eating it. So if you don't have much of an appetite or you can eat a smaller portion, I bought from the kids meal a bunch and I was fully satisfied. That's something you can do to save a little bit of money. There were many times when I got Riley an Uncrustables because that's really like all she would eat. An Uncrustable at the parks was $6.19. So I'm pretty sure I could buy like a box or two of Uncrustables for that price. Like the amount of peanut butter and jellies that I could have made with $6.19 is just very upsetting, but that's what we paid for it in the parks. If you're going to any of like the quick service places, like when we went to Hollywood Studios, Joe's lunch there in like the docking bay, which is like one of the quick service places that they have, his lunch was $18.99. My drink was $13, Joe's was $15. Like a thing of chicken nuggets for the kids is $9.99. I spent $13 there on a drink. This was like later at dinner. $12 for another drink that Joe had, a rum drink. When we were in Magic Kingdom, I ordered like a little Greek yogurt for Jackson, and the Greek yogurt was $3.19. So there were a lot of times when I was like trying to figure out like what can I get the kids that they're gonna eat, and I had limited options. Like it's not like they didn't eat anything, but it was kind of hard to find like those quick little snacks for them. So obviously I could have gotten a Greek yogurt cheaper at Publix, but it was there and it was $3.19. We were in Animal Kingdom, another kids meal was $7.99, so that was a little bit more affordable. And then like the adult cheeseburger pods were $11.49. Chocolate cake was $5.29. So that gives you like an idea of what like the regular kind of you know, food costs. Definitely if you're like getting alcohol with your lunches, it's gonna add up the price. Food was $8.19. Then this was the other stuff that I included here, like prior to our stay, you know, us getting there, that's extra money that we had to pay. In total for the resort, I just added this down here, which included like that resort tax. And then in total, which was something that also, I wasn't expecting it to be this much money, but in total for parking, I ended up paying $168.57. So that includes that hotel parking fee that I just told you guys about a little while ago. That also includes, so the days that we went to the park, yes, we could have taken the bus, because I think if you're staying on a Disney resort property, like you can take their bus service free of charge. We didn't go that route. We decided to drive to the parks. When you drive to the parks, you have to pay parking. So parking is normally $25, or you can pay $50 for preferred parking. We did preferred parking, but because we were staying on property, it was half the price. So we did preferred parking for $25. So we had to do that a handful of days. The only day that we didn't do the parking was the day that we went to Hollywood Studios, because we took the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios. If you watch the vlogs, you know how much I loved that. So that day coming home, I had to get an Uber. So I included that here in the charge, $23.12 for my Uber back home, because no way my butt was getting back on the Skyliner. So a lot of money, like relatively, like for just parking, just to get into the parks. That's like a whole other ticket, like for a day for a person in just parking fees. And then in total for snacks, we spent $101.83. Again, that was stuff like, there was one day that Joe and I just wanted like some little slushies. Those were like $5.99 each. Anytime we got a pretzel or a churro or a popcorn, little things like that. Water bottles too. And speaking of water bottles, if you can take your own water bottles, I highly recommend that, because water bottles are like $3.50, almost $5, like $5 for a bigger water bottle. We took a case of water from our house, and we still ended up buying some water bottles there, but it saved us a lot of money, because in the hotel rooms we would have our water bottles from home. So, you know, definitely keep an eye on the water situation, because that could get expensive too. And then the last category that I have is the souvenirs. So souvenirs, in total we spent $622.28, and that's because I included in there the Droid Depot. So there were still plenty of times that we bought souvenir Hollywood Studios. When we went to the little Star Wars market, we did go crazy. We spent like $91 there on a few things there for Riley and Jackson. And then we got Jackson his Mickey Mouse in the Emporium in Magic Kingdom. I think that was like $26 also, so in total it was like $28.75. A couple other charges there for things that we got the kids. And then the last day before we left back home, we went to the gift shop in the hotel and we spent another $94.75. So yes, souvenirs are expensive. Add those into your budget if it's something that you think you're going to spend money on. But yeah, I thought that that would be helpful to show you in total how much money we spent at Disney. Now the good news here for me is that, like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of charges that I'm going to be able to use my credit card points for. So even though I ended up technically spending $5,562.69 on the entire trip, there's a lot of it that I'm going to now be able to use my points towards to help pay that off. So now for the next few months, I'm just gonna keep saving up those points. I'm not exactly sure how many points I'll be able to save, because I don't keep track of like how many points I get every month, but I get a lot of points every month because we spend a lot of money every month. And because I pay everything with that card, it ends up giving back to me. How I love my card. Like, I buy something for me and then I also get money in return for me. Like, that is a great scenario. But seriously, like, it's just a good system there. We use it responsibly, we get the points, it helps us pay off fun things like this trip. And then once we reach the point where like we can't redeem any more points towards this trip, then we can just keep saving our points for whatever future travel expense we have, which for us, we have a lot because of the fact that we're constantly going back and forth to Miami, because of the fact that I have other vacations that I'm hoping to plan in the next few months. Like, for us and for our family, I know that in the future, I'll have something else that I can put those points towards. So it really works out for us, and that's something that you can maybe consider. So thank you again to NerdWallet for sponsoring today's video. I highly recommend you guys go check out their website, use that travel credit card comparison tool, check out their articles, check out their other calculators they have. I am going to be putting out 2 more videos with NerdWallet. I'm very excited to share that. So I think in the next one we're talking about like home buying tips, and then in the last one we're going to talk about just like my personal savings goals. Like Joe and I, now that we finished paying off our car, like what are our next steps, like what are we doing now with any extra money that we have. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So stay tuned, exciting stuff that we're going to be chatting about in the next couple months, and I hope that you guys are here for it. I hope you guys are ready for that. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Questions about Disney, questions about the credit card, questions about how to save for vacations, tips, anything else you want to share, leave it all down there so we can help each other out. But that is it for me, because now I need to go to bed. So like always, thank you guys so much for watching. I love your faces. I love you guys to pieces. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.